my amazing husband and partner in business, Peter Tran. He's my husband, my best friend, partner in business, partner in life. So he's going to be training with me today. So today we get to train on the biggest adrenaline rush you'll ever get, which is the close, right? And I already see all the trainers in here like they're itching, right? Like they hear closing, they're itching because we love closing. Yes. It's the best feeling, and once you do it, you want to just feel it again and again and again, right? So I have gotten the pleasure of being surrounded by the best closers, right? Day and night. Now I'm not talking about the amazing trainers in here. I'm talking about one, my kids, and two, my husband, right? So the reason my kids, anyone in here have kids? Okay, so you guys all know kids are the best closers out there. They do not care what if you say no. They don't even know what no means. I don't know what your kids, my kids thinks no means try again. So, for example, you guys know my son, right? Liam, he's my oldest son. He loves bubble tea, right? So it's become a real problem because we're getting bubble tea every single day. And now our family grew. We have 5 people in our family now, right? So it's not just 1 or 2 drinks. We're getting 5 drinks every single day. And so we had to talk to Leon and be like, hey, we just got to slow it down, right? Let's compromise. So every day, though, he's still asking for it. He goes, can I have some bubble tea, Mommy? So I say no, right? And then he goes, hey, are you thirsty? He'll say, hey, do you want to spend some time with me at a bubble tea store? Or the last resort will be like, do you love me? Right? So, all these things just to get what he wants, which is bubble tea. And let me tell you guys, it works every single day. We're still getting bubble tea. Happily drinking it, right, out of that straw. So the kids are the best closers there, and we can really learn from that. Also, Peter, if you guys know the things that he has gotten me to say yes to, you would think I'm crazy or you would think he's crazy. How many times did you have to ask me on a date before I said yes?
Like 6 months. You told me no, I just want to be friends. Many times.
This is a true story, by the way, right? So 6 months of saying no, but following up, he kept asking until, now we're married we've been together for over 10 years now.
Wow.
So, take that, little kids clothes, right? Grown men clothes. And so, you take that and you put that into something that can benefit you and your business, right? So why not close in the business that's going to benefit you and benefit the client, right? Because now the client, you're helping their family, right? You're helping their financial future. You're protecting the kids. You're protecting the spouse, right? All of this is really good for the clients and it's good for you, right? So that's what we're going to go over today is the close. So let me kind of go over the outline of what I do. And just a disclaimer here again, if you have a different field trainer, that's not me, right? Take the best, leave the rest, right? If what you do works, right, don't change it. But I'm just going to share with you guys what I do. So the close before the close is really the commitment questions you ask throughout the presentation. Who here has seen a presentation before? Okay, so a good amount. If you guys haven't yet, that will be your first goal is to see the presentation. Right? So commitment questions throughout the presentation. During the theory of decreasing responsibility, that's where you get a dollar commitment. So that's another close right there. When you do quoting, I'm going to go over some tips with quoting as well. The biggest tips is do not sticker shock the client. Right? Nothing is worse than the client saying, oh my God, I can't afford this, and then they completely shut down. Right? We're going to also go over the triplicate of choice with how to start with the quoting, to start with the best recommended, the second best, and then the least, right? And then the benefits of our policy to add value to the cost. I'll have Peter go over the process close today. He's amazing at the process close. The process close is really about the takeaway as well, right? You go over all this information, that's great. They say yes, yes, yes. You get a commitment, they say yes, right? And then you kind of do the takeaway of, hey, we want all this, right? But we don't even know if you can qualify for it, right? So it's a takeaway where now they're like, oh, let me at least try, right? So you take the pressure away. It's not a big decision, which goes into the application where you get the final close, Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna role play with my favorite role play partner, Shondell. Alright, so let's go ahead, Shondell. I guess we'll do it as if like you're a single mom. Okay, let's do that. Here. So they're gonna start at this slide. Okay, do you guys know this slide?
Yes.
The no insurance. Okay, so let's say Shondell had no insurance or just job insurance. I'll say, hey Shondell, currently you have, no life insurance on your own, right? Usually it's due to one of the following reasons. One, you didn't see a need for it. Like, my kids are gonna be fine, I don't need it, right? Two, you didn't think you could afford it. Maybe you overheard your friend saying they're paying $300, $500 a month for it. Your budget's just a bit tight, you couldn't afford it. Or three, you didn't get around to it. You woke up, day-to-day things happen. You know this is really important, but the kids' to-do lists are just so long, and you just didn't get around to it. Which one best describes you?
I just didn't think I could afford it as a single mom.
Yeah, did you think you could afford it?
Yeah.
All right, so is protecting your family important enough? You would be willing to set aside some money each month to take care of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's say if we could put together a program that could be affordable for you, is there any reason you wouldn't implement that program?
No, as long as it's affordable.
Okay, perfect. So how we do that is what we call the theory of decreasing responsibilities, right? It's my job here to make sure you are protected 100% of the time. So let's say, for example, right now, you're really young. How old are you again?
33.
33, all right. And so right now you might have some young children, right? What are your kids' names again?
Bailey.
Haley?
Bailey.
Oh, Bailey. Wow. Bailey. Okay, Bailey. Awesome. And how old is Bailey?
3.
3. Okay, awesome. So, 3, she's still very young, right? You might have some debt, and you might have a house mortgage as well, right? During this time, you might not have a lot of money saved up yet, right? So the loss of your income could be devastating, right? So this is what we say, you have really high responsibilities. Can you agree?
Yeah.
Right, so can you also agree that with high responsibilities, you have a high need of life insurance?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's fast forward now, 35 years from now. How old will you be 35 years from now?
68.
68, right? Hopefully retired?
Hopefully.
Hopefully retired, right? Your Bailey will be, how old will she be? Yeah.
38.
Yeah, 38, she'll
Yeah.
be 38, right? At 38 years old, do you think she's still gonna be relying on you financially?
Oh, better.
Oh, yeah, hopefully not, right? All right, hopefully not. And then also you have lower debt, your mortgage should be paid off, and then your income should be coming from your investments. The biggest worry at this time is not life insurance. What is the biggest worry?
Money in retirement.
Money in retirement, and not you turning 80 years old and having to go back to work.
Right.
Right, so the biggest worry is money, right? So you might not need life insurance anymore, because if you follow our plan, you'll have as much as you have in your life insurance coverage, if not more. And at this moment, you are what we call self-insured, right? So you're basically your own life insurance company. You don't need to pay another company to take care of that for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So we want to make sure you're protected the 10% of the time you might pass away too soon, and then 90% of the time you might live too long. Now, Shondell, do you know which one of these are going to happen to you for sure?
I wouldn't know which one to have.
Yeah, you would know, right? And this is why we want to make sure they're both taken care of, because I want to make sure you're protected 100% of the time. Right? So, has anybody ever calculated, helped you calculate how much coverage you need?
No.
No? All right. So, very simple questions here. Do you want your funerals to be taken care of?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then, do you want your income to continue to keep coming in for your kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Do you want your mortgage to be paid off? Oh, so louder? Do you want your mortgage to be paid off?
Yes.
Screaming at her. All right. And then do you want your kids' colleges to be paid for?
Yes.
Okay. All right, perfect. Now, let's say Shondell, me and Peter can put together a plan for you that can make sure you're properly protected 100% of the time. How much can you put aside each month to take care of this? Now, let's say, $50 to $100, $100 to $150, or $150 and more.
100 to 150.
100 to 150? All right, and 100 to 150, that's like comfortable, right? It's not gonna make you break a sweat every month.
It might, maybe.
Maybe, so closer to 100?
Yeah, that might be better.
Okay, so if we can find a plan within $100, that's something you would be comfortable moving forward with?
Yeah.
Okay, Perfect, right, so that's it, that's a dollar commitment there. You know $100 is comfortable, she can't go back and say, oh, I can't afford it, right? She just said she can't, right? So after that, what we do now is we go into the quoting, right? So I don't know if I wanna go over the referrals at this time, right? So at this time, if you have a trainee, right, you usually pass the ball to the trainee to get referrals, and that gives you about 5 minutes for you to quote them, put some numbers together, and then the trainee can also get referrals, so it's a win-win, right? So at this time, I usually say, all right, Chandel, I just have 3 quick questions for you here. 1, do you feel like we conducted ourselves professionally today?
Yeah.
2, do you feel like we answered all your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing is, do you feel like you got value and you feel others deserve to hear the same?
Definitely.
All right, perfect. The reason I asked is, like I mentioned throughout the presentation, the best way you can help out Peter here is to think of 5 to 10 other people responsible just like yourself who deserve to hear the same information. So I'm gonna pass the ball to Peter. He's gonna work on earning those referrals from you, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. And this also, if you give them a compliment and call them responsible, they're not gonna go back and do something irresponsible, like not get life insurance for their family. And so you got a compliment right there, you're gonna get referrals. So during this time, I turn off my camera if it's over Zoom, I shut it off, I mute myself, and I run some numbers, right? And I let the trainee do its thing. So when we run our numbers, I know Shaq wanted me to go over some quoting here. You guys have seen this, all right? So Chandel, I'll put you in here. You want an app?
Yeah.
I'll write you one.
Check for my record.
I'll split it with you. Okay, so let's say we quoted. So now, so this part might be a little bit different from other trainers, right? So let's say I'm doing a carry back. Let's say I'm doing a carry back, right? When I do a carry back, yeah, I'll come back with a triplicate of choice on a Word document. But if I'm right there with the client, the trainee is done getting referrals, I just don't have the time to do that, right? So what I'll do is I'll tell the client, hey, you know, you're actually gonna get to see this live, right? We're gonna do this together. So, ooh, that's small. Okay, so let's say here, Shona, you said you're 33?
Yeah.
Right? So before I do this, I do ask the client, hey, before I run some numbers for you, right? Quickly, how old are you? 33, all right, and then are you a tobacco or nicotine smoker at all? All right, any major health issues?
No.
Diabetes, high blood pressure?
No.
Okay, perfect, and then I'll run the numbers, right? You wanna know the information beforehand, because you don't wanna go back and then say, hey, you know, I just had a stroke, you know, a week ago, right? And one other thing that I do as well to provide value is I also ask about retirement, right? So if you're not licensed yet, you might not be able to fully do this, right? But I just ask for retirement. Now, you know, Chanel, you know, for retirement, do you have any 401ks, old 401ks or IRAs?
Just an IRA.
Just an IRA? All right, is it a Roth IRA, traditional IRA?
Wrong.
Okay, awesome. And do you max fund that Roth?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing job, right? And do you feel like you're on track for retirement right now?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. So you kind of want to know that, right? And then you want to ask them, so would you like some additional income outside of that for retirement?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, perfect. So I'll put that in your plan as well. Right, so now Chanel, the budget you gave me of $100 a month, was that just for the life insurance or was that for the total plan with retirement as well?
Just for the life insurance.
Just for the life insurance? And that's what you're gonna get a lot of times, because you're thinking now, oh my God, $100, how am I gonna fit this within a budget? And you can grow that budget when you ask them that question, right? So then I say, okay, so let's say I could give you additional income for retirement. How much more can you put aside towards that saving?
Another 100.
Another $100? All right, perfect. And then I'll run the numbers there, right? So now I know I have $100 for their life insurance instead of $50, right? Nobody wants to write a $50 policy. So let's say Sean.
Oh.
Sorry. You called yourself out. So what I'm gonna do is we don't want to sticker shock. So don't quote them over $100, right? I usually go with the highest first. So you go with the highest. So let's say, you know, I always try to get as much as possible, right? So let's say you just play around with it first, right? Play around with it and know your numbers. before you share your screen with the clients. And then you know which numbers to show them, right? So what I'll do is say, hey, Chanel, right? So, you know, thank you for those referrals. I know Peter really appreciates that. That's really gonna help jumpstart his career here with us, right? So let's look at what I got here for you. So right now you're a female, 33 years old, non-smoker, right? For a 30-year plan with us, right? You can get $600,000 in coverage, which is what I would recommend you to get, right? With, you know, taking care of your funeral expenses, your kids' colleges, you know, having your income coming in for the rest of their lives, right? Or 18 years, right? However old they are, right? And then I'll say, so $600,000 for $90, okay, is the recommended. Now let's say that's a little bit too much for you. We can also do $500,000 for $76 here, or $300,000 for $50. Now this is the least I would feel comfortable recommending to you, because you know this would only last your kid maybe 10 years, right? So depending on what that number is, of course, right? And so Chanel, looking at these numbers, which one did you like the best?
76.
Yeah, the $76 for $500,000. All right, now Chanel, this does come with a terminal illness rider up to 70%. So if you do get terminally ill, you can take 40 to 70% of that out to get medical treatment. Because can you agree with me, sometimes the difference between life and death can be medical treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll also get a waiver of premium, so if you do get disabled for, let's say, 6 months, right, this will kick in for you. The company will pay for your policy for as long as you are disabled for, right? And then also, 93% of our policies get paid within 14 days, right? So you'll get the #1 most trusted life insurance company to protect you for only $76 a month for $500,000 in coverage, right? Now, Chanel, when you're paying for something, you want to make sure it pays out what it should, right? Right. So that's what our policy will do for you. Right, so you're comfortable, again, with $76 for $500,000?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, I also know that I freed up $124 for the investments, right? So if you're not investment licensed, during this time, I'll run the illustration, but I'll make it simple for you guys. If you're not licensed yet, get licensed, right? But if you don't, now you can run some numbers with the compound interest calculator. So I just take 124 here, I show this to them, and they'll say, hey Chanel, so good news, right? So you picked the $76 one, it freed up $124 in your budget to save, right? So instead of you paying a bill, right, now you're saving yourself and your future self, right? So let's say here, you put in $124 for 35 years, outside of your IRA that you have right now, right? You should be looking at an extra $822,000.
Wow.
Right. How would you like to have an extra $822,000 outside? Yes, right? And so, you know, this is with a 12% rate of return. Usually I'll run the illustration, show them, you know, factual, actual dates and numbers, right? Which is about 12% with the Growth Fund of America. But I'll show this to the client, and at this point they're sold, right? I always want to go over the investments because let's say they're very iffy about the life insurance. If they see the investments, as human beings, we're a little bit greedy, right? So we're thinking money, 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 right? And we're thinking about us, what do I get in my lifetime? So if they're iffy about the life insurance, I can sell them on the investments, and then I can carry it back with the life insurance. Meaning, you can have $800,000, right? But right now, let's say you pass away tomorrow, are you going to have $800,000? No, right? And I don't want to go to your kids, right, and say I sat down with your mom, right, and I gave her a plan, right, but I only helped her with investments, and I didn't protect her income. So I don't want to go back the next day and give a check for only $1,000 when I could have given a check for $800,000. Right, and this is why we want to make sure we also have that life insurance so we can guarantee that wealth no matter what happens. Right, so that's a way where you can kind of go back if they're not iffy about the life insurance and close with that anyway, right? Because they see $800,000, what is $75, right? So that's kind of where that goes into. And then we do the takeaway, right? So have you ever signed up for life insurance before, Chanel?
No.
No, never? All right, so life insurance is something that you have to apply for. Unfortunately, it's not something you can just buy, because sometimes you could get declined, or maybe you don't get the rating you might like, right? So what I just showed you was just a quote of what we could assume you would get if you are healthy, right? And Peter is gonna go over the process close of how to close that. So go ahead, give it up to Peter.
That was amazing, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah.
So in most of the case, after you've done all of that, the client's probably gonna jump out of their chair and say, where do I sign up? Here's my check. If you did it like her, probably, but the reality is we're not all that great yet, and the client needs to allow us to help them move forward. So the process close is probably, it is my favorite go-to close. I use it every time, and you can use it in any scenario. You can use it if they already have life insurance and you're looking to replace a policy, or you can use it in a scenario where they don't have any life insurance right now and they're looking to apply. So basically, it's just give information to the clients and help them understand what's coming up next. A lot of time people doesn't feel comfortable moving forward because they don't know what's gonna happen next. So this close give you give them very detailed information what's gonna happen next. And it's basically gonna tell them, so today, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, all we're gonna be doing is putting in an application, right? And with the application, we're gonna take a good faith deposit. This deposit is gonna be refunded back to you no matter what, right? So meaning that at the end of the application, if you decide to move forward, this is gonna go apply towards your first month, so you don't have to pay your first month premium. If you change your mind for whatever reason that you decide you don't wanna move forward anymore, they will refund it back to you in the form of a check. So regardless, it's gonna go back to you, so this whole application process is just a deposit. Now, when we take an application with a deposit, the next step is the company's gonna reach out to you and they're gonna do some underwriting. So it's gonna go to the underwriter. They're gonna do some underwriting, it's gonna go to the underwriter, and finally a policy is gonna get issued. And the decision get made at this moment. At this moment, when a policy get issued and my company offer you guys a policy, you have the final say whether you wanna move forward or you wanna make any changes at this point. Is that clear? Okay. So typically, when we explain this to clients, they, a lot of time at this point, I just say, Mr. and Mrs. Clients, if everything's clear, all I need is your driver license, and we'll go ahead and put in an application for you. But, like Tia kinda say, a lot of people's gonna say, kinda like, no, I still wanna think about it, right? So, we get good by asking people multiple times, and we get good at taking applications by helping people move forward, making a decision that helping them, right? So closing is really just helping them make a decision to move forward with something that's gonna benefit them. So if you went over this whole process and they still say, hey, I don't wanna make a decision today, I wanna think about it, right? So, you wanna kinda address that immediately. You know, a lot of time when I first started, I just kinda, okay, fine, think about it, I'll come back next time. You're never gonna get back in the house. They're not gonna think about it after you leave. They just wanna get you out of there, they just wanna test you. So you kinda wanna recognize the fact that they wanna think about it. Say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I can appreciate you sharing that with me. I'm the same, I don't wanna make a decision today. I usually wanna think about things and make sure that this is for something I wanna do. But the good news here, Mr. and Mrs. Client, today is not decision day. We're not making a decision today. We're simply just putting in an application so that we know what we're gonna get, so we can make a decision when we come back 3 to 5 weeks from now. Because that's usually how long the applications take. This whole process takes 3 to 5 weeks. And if God forbid something happens to you during this whole application process, your family is covered. So you're getting free conditional coverage during the application process. You don't have to make a decision today. We can make a decision later. Right? So if that makes sense, we can just go ahead and put in an application, you have your driver license handy. So you address that, and you're just trying to move them forward. Ask them for the driver license is the best way to move forward, because when they hand you that driver license, they're ready to move forward, okay? Now, at some point, at some time where they still kind of giving you a little bit more pushback at this point, where they're like, yeah, it sounds good, but, me and my wife, we just want to talk about it before. We want to talk about it before we move on. So, before we even apply. So at this point, you know they're not gonna talk about it. They already, like, if you don't get them to apply now, they're probably not gonna get back in that house, that's it. So, a lot of time, I push again, right, because I know it is more beneficial for them to apply, right, than not to apply. Everything is in logic. You get free coverage. If something happened to you tomorrow, you get in a car accident, you pass away, this paid out. If you don't apply, something happened to you, like TSA, your family is financially screwed, basically. So, so at this point, I kind of push a little bit more. I say, okay, you know, I totally understand that, you know, you're not completely comfortable with applying today, right? And you kind of really want to think about it, right? And let me ask you this kind. So, typically, when you, let's say have you guys ever gone to college? Sandra, you gone to college? Yeah. So when, which college did you go to?
University of Richmond.
University of Richmond. So when you applied to the University of Richmond, right, and then you get accepted there, do you have to go to college there? No, right? And when you applied there, they could reject you, can they?
Yeah.
Right. So would it make sense for you to move to Richmond, get an apartment in Richmond, and, you know, settle down in Richmond before you even apply there?
No.
So this is kind of like the same thing. We don't really know what we're thinking about yet until we get an offer back. So why don't we just put in an application, see if we can even get qualified for this. And we do get qualified for it, then we can kind of think about it together and make a decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so you have your driver's license handy? So I just go ahead and move them
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
All right. If they push back one more time, okay? If they push back one more time, they say, I don't want it. I'm like, no, I'm definitely not making a decision today. You're not taking my money today. But they don't say that. They say, no, that sounds good, you know, it makes sense, but not today. And they do. I've been in an appointment where I had to push 3-4 times, and sometimes I push 4 times and they don't go forward, but it's fine. I did everything I can.
Yeah.
So if it does get to that point, you kind of get into this scenario where you draw a scenario out for them. And you say, you have officially given them all the logical reason to move forward, but they don't want to move forward. So now what you have to try to connect with them emotionally a little bit, right? So we call it like the A-B scenario growth, where, okay, so I totally understand that, you know, again, you don't want this. So I understand that you're not ready to even take an application today, but, and you're not ready to make a decision today. You have shared it with me, correct?
Yeah.
So why don't I share something with you, right? In scenario A, there's 2 scenarios, scenario A and B. In scenario A, you take an application. You take an application with me and you get conditional coverage for $500,000 of coverage. So if something happened to you, your family gets this paid out tomorrow. Scenario B, you get no coverage. So if something happened to you, you have to go nothing. Your family is financially controlled, right? And regardless of what happened, the $75 the $75 is coming back to you, right? So this essentially is free. Because it's just a deposit, it's coming back to you right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gonna be. So while you're thinking about it for the next, is 3 weeks, 4 weeks enough time for you to think about something like this for your family?
Yeah.
3 to 4 weeks is plenty of time? Okay. So while you're taking the next 3 to 4 weeks to think about it, and we're doing some underwriting on you, right? Does it make more sense to think about it with the coverage for your family or without the coverage for your family? With the coverage, right? So get people say, why don't we just go ahead and put in a free application today? Think about it with the coverage for your family. If it doesn't work out, you know, you change your mind, no harm done there. I'm not gonna force you after that. Right, so at this point, if they don't wanna go forward, I'm kind of done. This is Tia telling me no for a whole year, so. 6 months, I don't know if we handle another 6 months.
That's funny.
Yeah, so typically if we are able to help them just apply, guys, you know, we're doing the right thing for their family. $75, they waste more than that. and they waste it on random stuff all the time.
Bubble tea.
I'm scared of looking at my Uber E account. Because, so they waste it. They waste this money in one session, one sit-down session, one time at the nail salon, one dinner. So, this is the right thing that we do. We gotta get really, really good at just asking them to take an application. There's no commitment there, guys. So this is what I usually do to help them move forward. Yeah.
In this type of situation and they're hesitant and you apply for them and they get instantly approved, then what?
That's a really, really good question. So this is something that's really new for us, so that we don't used to get instantly approved, right? So if you do get instantly approved, it's two scenarios happen here. If they see your screen and you see instantly approved and they sees it, you can't really like negotiate, right? But you can still, okay, like, hey, my company, luckily, you are instantly qualified for this. So how long do you think it would take for you and your spouse to think it over, to get the right protection for your family, God forbid something happens to you? So they'll give you a day, a couple of days, and then you say, okay, I can hold this application for up to 10 days, right? And within these 10 days, I will reach out to you to see if we can go ahead and get you covered. But if they don't see the instantly approved, it's the same thing. You just say the same thing. So, we just submitted an application. It's gonna take about 1 to 2, 3 weeks in this process because you don't do blood work. You're not inclined to do blood work. It could be very fast, and I'll get back with you when I get a result. So you can call them back a week later and say, hey, you got approved. I can come back and review it with you.
Thank you.
And getting instantly approved is not like, it's a rare thing to do, right? So I know like everyone, I said that with Rosalind gets instantly approved. She got like the lucky touch, right? So if they do get instantly approved, I make a point to say that this is not a normal occurrence, right? This is amazing, you're really special in this case, right? Less than, I don't know if it's 10%, but I say 10%, right? Less than 10% of clients get instantly approved. Right, so this is like when you make it kind of a big deal to them, right? They'll just like if you go into like a Louis Vuitton store and it's like a special edition, right? You only get this for a set amount of time, and I make a point like I can only lock this in for 10 days, right? They'll kind of be like, oh, I want it, right? Because everybody wants something that other people can have,
Right.
right? So that is another way to kind of try to get that.
Okay, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. All right, is there any more questions?
I have a question, do
Sheila.
you guys have people that instantly approved under position job? Or these are just power jobs?
Just powers.
Yeah, I've never had anybody that's
I've
approved
had
for
one.
position job.
I have one where you submit it and then it automatically approves that, like you skip the blood work. I've had somebody have that. And they get approved with a certain rating. It's not, that one is really, really rare.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it? That's good? All right, awesome. We're gonna bring us